River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan, here with James below me this time. Say hello, James.
What's up, Niner Nation?
And we are here this week with Carrie. I will never get the directions right. We're here with Carrie.
A.K.A. Taco.
Yes, it's been a minute since we had you last on the show, but we wanted to bring you back on, and thanks for finding the time to come back.
Thanks for having me back.
For sure. It's good to have you back. It's good for all of us to be together, get that theme park family going.
Yeah.
You know, like all the rough days we had and the wind and the rain and the cold. And it's good to get some family back on here, you know?
Yeah.
We made dreams come true and people happy, though, most of the time.
Yes,
For
we
sure.
did. We did. That was
For
the good thing
sure.
about the job. Yeah, we made make a wishes come true, and it was
And I'm
fun
still doing it.
You're still doing it. We've moved on.
Yes.
But you're still doing it, and you're
It
probably
feels
still
doing
making it.
It's a good day to bring us all together, too, because right here in Indiana, it feels like Orlando, or at least it has for the past couple weeks. It's been excruciating how hot it is.
right.
Well, today was the first day it hasn't been excruciating.
That's good.
So,
Yeah,
it was nice. It had a nice breeze. I was like, wow.
I
Well,
don't
you guys
know.
just survived the hurricane too, so
Yes, we did. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. We only got a lot of rain.
I
That's
barely
about
got
it.
any rain like where I'm at, and
Yeah.
today though the heat was still getting to me because I was out grilling and stuff, and I was trying to be in the shade, but the sun kept moving. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There wasn't
but-
really many clouds in the sky either. So
Yeah, and it's the first time I used my grill in like 2 years because we're refinishing the deck. We're redoing the whole deck. So, but it feels good. And guys, if you want to know why Carrie, aka Taco, is on the show this week, she has a very distinct title of Taco because if you've watched the show The League, Carrie was Taco. She was absent-minded when it came to running her fantasy football team. And the 2 years we had her on before that, she would consistently not change her buys. People would get easy wins, and then she would change her buys, and then she'd win, and people were complaining. I, as you can see, was the Yobo Goya commissioner. That was the name of our league. So finally, after enough complaining from the other members in the league, I instituted a rule at the beginning of the year that if you did not change your buys 4 weeks in a row, you were going to be kicked out of the league. Taco here took that very seriously.
I did.
To the point where you can see she was the 2016 Shiva champ, which means for you guys out there that watch us, or don't watch us, but you want to find a video about how to win your fantasy football league as a casual fan of football, where maybe you don't watch the games every single Sunday, Monday, Thursday, you're not into it as much. Taco here is living proof that anybody can win their league if they hustle enough.
It's true.
It's true. So she is here to give you her tips on how to win your fantasy football league if you don't know that much, if you don't know a lot about football.
If you've been swindled, let's say, into or talked into, oh, come on, it's fun. It's a $5 buy-in. You'll be fine. You're in that workplace fantasy league and don't know what you're doing. This is for you guys if you're listening.
Yes, because Taco is most definitely the expert on that.
On casual fandom.
On casual fandom, yes.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
So tell us, Taco, what are some of the steps that you took to ensure that you had you fix your buy every week, some of the strategy that you use in order to win your games and come out on top?
I definitely didn't know a lot when I started playing fantasy football with you. I knew enough to be dangerous as far as like, hey, this is how the game's played. Okay, here's some players that are good. But I don't know it to the nth degree like the two of you. But I will say this, listen to, if you're playing in a work league, listen to what people are talking about. Because I always picked up on the little things you guys were talking about. So then I would start checking into things. Especially James used to get on my butt about the buys. And I was just like, da 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 da. What these two boys aren't telling you too is I was their supervisor. So meanwhile, while they're leaving to set their lineup, I'm still at work. So James was pretty good about being like, hey, remember to do this. And some days I was
or we'll
like,
do it while we're on break. Like we have so much more
Exactly.
time than you have.
Yes,
Exactly.
we definitely
Quite
do.
often, I did not have a lunch break. So I would be running around making sure everybody else had one. So I will say, listen to everybody around that is really into it, because you'll pick up on things. You'll be like, okay, who's this player? Who's that player? Why is having more running backs important than, 4 kickers? So, which is no joke. I had 4 kickers at one point. And James,
That's right.
James asked why, and I said, I don't know.
It's the Matt Nagy strategy.
When a player came up on the waiver wire, Taco was going, can they kick? That's what I want to know.
Exactly. That and defenses. I love the defense.
Yes, defense wins championships.
Yes, defense wins championships.
I'll give you props on that, because I've been not a victim. I've been someone known to rotate. I've done many rotations on defense before. I would love to cherry pick the hot defense of the week that was going against, like, say, Jacksonville or the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty consistent about stuff like that, but the year I won was a really rough year too, because everybody kept getting injured on my team. So it really forced me to pay attention, because I didn't realize people were going out with injuries so much. And so I was like, oh, what does this O mean next to their name, And
tell everybody what O means.
It means they're out.
Okay, there you go. So if you're a casual
It doesn't mean they're outstanding.
Yeah, it does not mean they're outstanding.
So if
like
you are
I thought at one point.
Yeah, so if you are a casual fan, make sure you know that O right next to the name means out, and they're not playing that week.
And there can be a lot of reasons they're not playing either, which I just learned this season, because I couldn't log in for my first fantasy draft until midway through, because I forgot my password.
Totally Taco. Totally
Whoops.
Taco moment right there.
So it auto drafted somebody who was out, and I was like, why is it auto drafting somebody who's out already? But they were out because they're a free agent and it's not signed yet. So like, that's pretty interesting too. I was like, well, how does that work?
Who was it?
Oh man, I don't know. I'll have to look it up and get back to you.
I thought you were gonna say like Jonathan Taylor.
No, it wasn't Jonathan Taylor.
That would make sense since he's on the pup list.
There's a couple different people who were up as free agents that I was shocked about, and I was like clicking on, because I will say, when we get drafting, I get into it and I'm excited. And there's a couple things I do. I kind of look and see what it says their points are going to be, because a lot of people can do the work for you. You don't have to like research it as much as I thought you did. I was like, oh man, Shane's always researching and he knows who he's going to pick for the draft. And Dan, I was always overwhelmed. I was like, oh my God, I haven't done any research.
It's a lot. If you get into it, it really is a lot of freaking work. That's why I can't do it anymore, especially as a commissioner, because if you really get into it and you're really serious about winning, the draft is so much work. It's too much work anymore. And so that's why I stick to gambling now. But yeah, the draft is very important, and running a live draft is very important, because auto drafting, if you're just auto drafting, you may still get a decent team, but if you're live drafting, you can get really stacked, especially when people are auto drafting.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting. So if you're a casual person like myself, it's like, how do you auto draft? Who do you pick? As James knows, there was one year I was in Hawaii, so I had to set up an auto draft. And for the second round, I told it to pick a defense, and I changed the
She
direction of
changed
the
the
draft
direction of the
over.
draft. Second round, she drafts Seattle's defense,
Yeah.
and then there was a run on defenses. And
no.
I, as a stickler, I will never draft the defense higher than the 15th or 16th round. Those are some of the last things that I'm concerned about. So I ended up picking up a very crappy defense. I forget what defense that year. But yeah, that totally changed everything. People just went on a run on defense. They're like, oh, defenses? And yeah.
And it was pretty funny to hear that happened, because I was like, man, I was just sitting in Maui chilling out with a drink in my hand because the time difference, I wasn't going to be able to auto draft. I wasn't going to be able to draft live. So I would have had to been up at like some godforsaken hour. So
and what, like, when you did auto draft, what was the most important thing to you when you auto drafted?
Well, my number one was definitely a quarterback. I don't know why. I just feel like that's like your base. Right. And I know a lot of people go for running backs and wide receivers and stuff, but I still, even to this day, I still feel like I need to get in there and get that quarterback. Yeah. Because I'm so afraid of having a crappy quarterback. Well, and then
with their dual capabilities, like it's kind of superseded running back to a certain degree because of the ability of like Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen that run also. Like, so yeah, no, that's definitely changed than even like 4 years ago, where I would be in that old school, like I got to get running back first. Like I have to pick running back.
Yeah, and even like Peyton Manning's best year as a quarterback, if you draft him in the first round, I mean, I think it was something like 65 or 70% of fantasy football teams on ESPN that had Peyton Manning on their team made the playoffs. So if you have that rare occurrence, you pick that quarterback that is somehow great, and they go off that season, you still have a reasonable chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah. So that would always be my number one when I was auto drafting, if I was worried that, because as I've told you, sometimes auto draft just happens for Carrie. So
yes.
So when I'm smart, I set it up ahead of time to pick what I want. So I have changed to being more, not a defense anymore, but a running back or a wide receiver for my second choice usually. That's so good. I kind of go, either I do the running back first or the wide receiver, and then the next round I flip flop, just so I feel like I have three strong, if that makes sense. And then I kind of wing it from there. If people are drafting and they're really getting into the wide receivers and running backs, I kind of try to do that, and then I switch it up and get a tight end that's like higher up than everybody else. And then usually I go back to wide receivers and running backs for a little bit, just because you need a variety there, and they're going to be your flex too. So then I've started paying attention to when buys are, because I have gotten in trouble. I've gotten in trouble because I've not realized that, they list the buys on the side, and I'm just picking because of points and stuff. So then I would have everybody off on the 13th week or whatever, and I'm like,
So listeners, if you're a casual fan, what a bye week is: no team plays all 18 weeks throughout the season. There are 18 weeks throughout the season, and each team gets 1 week off. And they're different weeks for different teams. So they could be week 4, it could be week 5, or week 13 or 14. So what Taco is saying is pay attention to when their bye week is, because guess what? You're going to have to put somebody in at that spot for that bye week.
And that's really crucial.
I will defend the philosophy, because I've done this before, that if your team is good enough, you can whiff that 1 week.
Yeah, I true. You can whiff that 1 week.
That's fair. That's fair.
That is fair. Because like my one team, I was stacked. I think I had Alex Smith, and that was his best year. I had Ezekiel Elliott. I had Tyler Lockett. I had Tyreek Hill. Like I had a really stacked team. So like if you live draft and get a really stacked team, I would say you can do that. But if you're a casual fan like Taco here, you might want to pay attention to the bye weeks and who you're picking.
And just a little bit, just enough that you can not have them all stacked. Because even this, like drafting this year, I was like not realizing it, but I was picking. And I was like, oh crap, there's a lot of people off on the week 13 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, crap, I've got to make sure I'm picking people who I can put in place. So it starts to become a strategy. You start thinking things like that. It makes it more interesting for sure. And then also it becomes interesting to find out about players who play well together. So who's the wide receiver that, this quarterback that you picked likes, so that can dictate
double up
too, or at least
double up.
Yeah, that's exactly, I started realizing that, and that's without anybody telling me,
Right.
But then listening to you guys also helps. Find a podcast, I would say, that is good to listen to and get little tidbits from. That is fun. It doesn't have to be a super intense podcast, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, you guys are my choice, but
yeah
but there's plenty out there, as far as for beginners and stuff. So that's what I would encourage too, because if you don't I don't have the water cooler anymore. Like, we don't have a lot of people who are into football. So there's nobody playing fantasy on our end. No, gosh. It is like,
so it died as we left. Like when we left, it died.
Exactly. It was just like bam. So
nobody's talking to guests about sports all day long.
No.
Oh, that's just horrible.
You have 3 pro teams. You got Florida State and Florida U, and your whole staff doesn't care about just any football.
No.
That's amazing.
So it's very strange, So
yeah. But you were
where do you get those tips? Like if you're I'm really good with that. Oh, I'm paying attention to everything, even when people don't think I am.
Yeah.
And I'm picking up on what you guys are saying, And so I was able to apply a lot of the stuff in another league that I was in. And it was super helpful at times to be able to do that. So but the day and age of the podcast is awesome, because you can find yourself a podcast that's fun to listen to, and you get encouragement to know these little things and get these little tips, So
good.
That would be my recommendation.
You recommend our podcast to do that with?
For sure.
All right, you heard it. Niner Nuts is your place if you are a casual fan of football.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and draft CMC in the first round. He is too good to pass up.
No, I'm going Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts in the first round. Like,
Jalen Hurts, I got on one of my leagues. So
there you go. You're going to be a fantasy football champion this year.
You're doing good if you get either.
49ers. So
you got the 49er defense.
Yep.
Oh,
and that was straight up.
There you
straight
go.
up, my boy Dan. That was a shout out to you. I was like,
thank you.
Jalen Hurts and 49ers defense.
Is this when I need to rub my Nick Bosa pop and say a little prayer that we finally pay him?
Yes.
You're gonna regret that pick if we don't sign him. I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't know. For me as a casual fan, I'm also a little bit nerdy, and I click on the guys' pictures, and if they're not smiling and they don't have good energy,
oh, that's awesome.
If they don't have good energy, denied.
That is the kind of stuff that we are looking for, because that's easy for casual fans to see. Just click on their picture. You can see if they're smiling or not. And that will help your decision of whether you want to pick them up or not. That's really good, Taco.
There's a lot of things like that. Or like, for example, I always try to get one Eagles player on my team because you're my buddy and I like to support the Eagles, you know. And then my nephew he loves the Dolphins. So I decided this year I need to find a good Dolphins player. So,
do you know who you got?
I didn't get anybody because everybody picked up the good ones. So I was bummed. But yeah, you know, you can do little things like that and it makes the game fun. Like, right. Especially if you're not into the details, like you can make it fun and it's awesome.
And now, guys, if you don't know, throughout the season, if you have a player out, there's a thing called the waiver wire. The waiver wire is a great way to pick up players when your players are injured and when they're not in or whatever, because unless you want to get into trading people, like the waiver wire is where you're going to want to be at finding people. And Taco, tell us how you work the waiver wire, because we all know the draft is great. That's where you get a great team, but championships are really won with the waiver wire.
Yeah, you'd be surprised at what gets dropped by other people just because they're what you call tinkering with their teams. And if you're paying attention, because I had to pay attention the year I won, because like I said, I had a good team and then everybody went out on injuries. I can't even remember all the players, but I literally had probably close to 10 to 15 people go out on injury through the season.
Right.
So, and it sucked. It was like every time I turned around, James was like, your boy's injured. I was like, oh. So now, you know, hop on that waiver wire and it gives you the list of the top ones, which is really nice. And then kind of go through and see who they're playing against and see what's going on. And then click and see if they're smiling, because if they're not smiling, you don't need them on your team. That's
what's up. That's a nice little tip. Like when I get back into fantasy football, I'm gonna have to start doing that, because it's really good. That's a tip that even diehards don't even use. And that's a tip that you'll only get here on Niner Nuts from Taco, the 2016 Shiva champ.
And you might think it's silly, but come on, let's think about it. Some people will look like they're tired and they're done. They don't want to even be here.
It's a job to them. They don't love the game.
You don't want them there. You don't want them on your team.
Yeah, bye-bye. I get it. I get it.
What if say like Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't smiling enough for your criteria, but he is generally agreed upon as the most gorgeous quarterback in the league right now? Does that factor into it?
It can, but if I'm not into them, no, bye.
Yeah. Fair.
I mean, it could be Aaron Rodgers or something like that.
You know, exactly right. Sometimes, you know, you're looking at stuff where everybody's telling you this player, it's the player, and they don't end up producing. So I say, don't let yourself get intimidated too, because for a while I was really intimidated. I was like, everybody knows who's the best player. And I played on that league for a long time, was all boys. All boys knew their stuff.
Well, no, we also had one other woman.
We had one other woman, but then they eventually left. And it was literally all boys in Taco.
Only you.
So, yeah, and that can be intimidating. So don't let that be intimidating if you're a casual fan. This is what I'm saying. It's like, just because everybody thinks they know, they don't know. That's what I learned a couple different seasons. I was like,
oh yeah, you can be hard. What you have proven is that, you know, Dan and I, who watch football on a regular basis, study players, learn players, have done, you know everything, who work hard at the draft, who, you know, go through all this, you know, mind bending just to make sure they've drafted a good team and picking up players at the right time. You have proven that you can outwit them by just seeing who smiles.
Just smiles. Just a smile.
So with that being said, are there any other final tips that you would like to put out there? Because, you know, we're starting to run a little on time.
I would just say turn on ESPN every once in a while. I just like to turn on ESPN and check out what commentators are saying And okay, this guy's good, this guy's good. Hop on the wire. Are they available? They might be. They might
Yeah.
not be. And then I will say, I'm intimidated by trades. So I don't know what the advice is on that, because I always feel like I'm being got. So if you're too timid to trade, you don't have to trade. Don't let people force you into trading, is what I would say.
I
Because
definitely agree with
sometimes
that. Yeah.
people
They'll try
are
to take
very
advantage
aggressive
and they'll
and
try to take advantage of
yes,
you. Yeah.
just because you don't have all the knowledge. And so the waiver wire is great for that, because nobody's going to take advantage of you. It's up to you. It's your own destiny. So I really feel like the waiver wire is a great way to get your feet wet and do that. And then as you grow confidence, you can start doing
trading.
trades. And
Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy that tanks via trade either. Don't be that guy that helps make one guy an OP.
Well, that's
team.
not allowed. That wasn't allowed in our league. Like we like as a commissioner, I made sure that would not happen. Because
broadly speaking, then if it isn't a rule like ours, don't be that loser that OP somebody because you just.
Well, I would say if it happens, your commissioner is not a good commissioner, because there shouldn't be any commissioner that would allow somebody to dump a whole team of good players for crappy players. That's just unethical. It really is. And if you really don't want to play, get out. We'll find somebody who can replace you. That's really what it is. And so I refuse to let anybody do that. And if you have a good commissioner, that commissioner will refuse to let that happen as well. He'll pay attention to every single trade and make sure that it is at least reasonably fair, for you. That's what a good commissioner would do. That's really something like that, is on the commissioner. It really is, because that does happen. And if you're not paying attention, if you're not looking at the trade as a commissioner, you could really screw somebody over. You really could.
I agree.
So, if that's happening in your league, change your league and get a better commissioner.
Just go down with the ship. I went down with plenty of ships. I had plenty of 2-win teams. I was not a perfect coach or GM either. It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, it happens to the best of you. But once again, if you have a good commissioner, he'll make it worth your while to keep playing every single week. That's what we did in our league. We had playoffs for winners and we had playoffs for losers. And the final loser would have a punishment. So if you are in a good league, yes, because of Taco. So if you are in a good league, not only will there be winning and rewards for winning, but there will also be penalties for losing, because that's what a good league does. If a good league does that, you will have fun for the whole year, and you'll be into it for the whole year, and you won't lose interest. And if you do lose interest, you're going to get punished, and you're going to have to fulfill it. Trust me, we made everybody fulfill their punishments, even if they didn't want to. Yep. So we made sure, and that's what a good league does. So be a part of those leagues, and you can be a casual fan, but you will still have fun, because
you'll have a blast. And for those people who are really good about footballs and the stats, be welcoming to these people who are new, because if you encourage them, they're going to be fun to play against, because they're going to surprise you. They're going to start being engaged, because the second James said you could get kicked out of the league, I was like, I don't want to get kicked out of the league. I want to be in the league. So it can engage them. Ask them what's going on.
I agree.
And James was always good about hey, Taco, you got people who are on a bye in the thing.
And that's another thing a commissioner should do, especially if he's going to instill that penalty. He should be fair to the player and look at their lineup and see if they have anybody that's going to be out. If you're going to instill that penalty, you need to be a good commissioner, and you need to let them know, hey, you need to change your buys. That is also on the commissioner. That's how I feel.
Sure.
So with that being said, Dan, you want to tell us about our sponsor?
Oh, why? Of course I do. Carrie, if you're not aware, we have a partnership with Royal Retro Jerseys. The code is
Ooh.
behind James right now, but all you need to do is when you go to royalretros.com, use the promo code Shady Sports to get 10% off your entire order. What do they have on there? They have a phenomenal variety of authentic old school jerseys. They got football, basketball, hockey, baseball. If
Oh.
you want to stand out with an old school jersey, say you want to reminisce when your team might have been better than they are now, Lions fans. Well, not necessarily Lions fans. That was a low blow, but um, go to royalretros.com and get yourself an authentic old school throwback jersey there. Again, the promo code is Shady Sports. Shout out to Sam for hooking us up with that partnership. Promo code Shady Sports will get you 10% off your entire order on royalretros.com. James, what next?
And finally, guys, we want to talk to you about owner accountability. Recently in the news over the past month, we've had 2 owners acting very badly, and the NFL knew about it before anybody else and did nothing to tell us to report about it. Maybe they did do some inner workings and suspended them, but they kept it under wraps until independent reporting agencies got the story and put it out there. And so we know that if a player did anything awful, we know about it from the NFL the very next day. So we are a little upset with that, and we are trying to bring owner accountability to football. So owner standards are less than player standards. Hashtag owner accountability. Make that go viral. Get on Twitter, send it to everybody, and to show you we put our money where our mouth is, we are selling shirts for charity. Our own logos, shirts, we're selling them for charity. Now, that's the one that has the owner standards are less than player standards, owner accountability. You can get that now at bonfire.com. T-shirts start at $22.99, fair price, and all the proceeds go to charities. This is our owner standoffish. We're bringing this back from the Dan Snyder campaign because still Dan Snyder's blackmail PowerPoint is taking people out. That's why we have this shirt. Donate to a Kentucky Crisis Center. This is our podcast logo. Like I said, $22.99. All the proceeds go to a Kentucky Crisis Center. And Niner Nuts alternate logo right there. That's a good one. That's what I'm wearing right now. And our official mascot, $22.99. How can you deny buying a t-shirt with a peanut that looks so darn cute? Not only is it cute,
I'm getting one.
it goes to charity, guys. We're still working out on what specific crisis center we'll be working with, but guaranteed, even if we don't find one, we will find an organization that helps those victims of sexual crimes get help, get the support they need. We will do that because we want owner accountability in the NFL.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's been a staple of our show. We didn't quite get to interview charities like we did last year because things just came up, but we still want to call out things that are bigger than football, just like this. Because yeah, football's football and it's wonderful, and the community that it creates, like our little community that we had with our fantasy league. But when something as egregious as what the Texans minority owner did, or the the allegations against our own owner / CEO come up, we think it's a shame when they're not held to the same standards as the players are. And you can tie that into so many things with the pay and whatnot, but just it's crazy. This is our low contribution to trying to raise awareness to some of the hypocrisy out there. So yeah, go on to Bonfire and buy one of our shirts. We don't get any of the money from it. It's going to charity.
Straight to bonfire.com. Look up Niner Nuts Apparel. Click on the bonfire.com link, and you will find those t-shirts. We want you to have a good looking t-shirt while you donate to charity, because why should you get a crappy t-shirt for donating to charity? You should get a good t-shirt. And we also have them in hoodies, sweatshirts, women's fitted tees. Like, we have it all for you guys. Don't just go there, donate to a good cause, get a cool t-shirt.
Yes.
Awesome.
And if you want to reach out to us, we're up there. Dan, you want to point to Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Please subscribe if you like us. Also subscribe to the Shady Sports Network if you like their stuff. You can, if you want to write into the show, it's going to be 49ernuts@gmail.com. That's 49ernuts@gmail.com. Any 5-star reviews, let us know. We'll read every 5-star review on the air. Dan, you got anything left for us?
The only news that's worth talking about for now is the fact that Ian Rappaport, the Niners, and star edge rusher Nick Bosa need a significant breakthrough to get him back on the field. That was 12 minutes ago, so that's encouraging.
Maybe we'll talk about that on tomorrow's episode. So, Taco, thank you for being on the show. Outro music, River Road, Justin Muth.
Beat the Steelers. Catch you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got